Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the stars through the main viewport. 15 years had passed since the last shots were fired between humans and aliens. The peace treaty had held strong through those years. But Jake knew better than to trust it completely. His patrol ship moved slowly through the neutral zone between human space and alien territory. The crew worked quietly at their stations, knowing that any day could bring trouble. Lieutenant Amy Harrison sat at her communication console monitoring alien signals and chatter. She had joined the fleet 5 years ago when things seemed peaceful, but her training prepared her for war. Her fingers moved across the controls, checking frequencies and scanning for any unusual activity. The aliens had been quiet lately, which made her nervous rather than relieved. Commander Rick Palmer walked between the stations checking on the crew. He remembered the old war when humans first met the Zephyrians and their allies. Those reptilian creatures had expected an easy victory over what they saw as primitive humans. They learned quickly that humans fought differently than other species. Rick had scars from those battles and memories that still woke him at night. War had ended not because one side won, but because both sides grew tired of the killing. Humans had surprised everyone, including themselves, with their ability to adapt and survive. The aliens had superior numbers and technology, but humans had something else. They could change their tactics faster than any species the galaxy had seen. They could take alien weapons and make them better. They could fight in ways that confused and frightened their enemies. Jake reviewed the patrol reports on his tablet. The neutral zone stretched across 3 star systems, creating a buffer between the two powers. Human colonies lay beyond the zone, growing larger each year. Trade ships moved back and forth, carrying goods and people to the outer worlds. Everything seemed normal on the surface, but Jake felt tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. Peace treaty had specific rules about neutral zone operations. No military ships could cross certain boundaries. No weapons could be fired except in self-defense. Civilian ships had safe passage through designated corridors. Both sides had agreed to these terms and honored them for 15 years. But Jake wondered how long it could last. Amy suddenly straightened at her station and pressed her earpiece closer. She turned to Jake with concern on her face. 3 ships had appeared on the edge of sensor range, moving fast toward the civilian shipping lane. The ships did not respond to her hails, and their energy signatures looked wrong. Jake ordered the crew to battle stations as alarms began to sound throughout the ship. The 3 vessels moved with purpose toward a large transport ship carrying families back from the outer colonies. Jake recognized the transport as the Peaceful Journey, loaded with 2,000 civilians, including many women and children. The captain had filed his flight plan days ago and followed all the proper procedures for safe passage through the zone. Rick ran to the weapons console and began charging the ship's defensive systems. The Liberty carried enough firepower to handle raiders or pirates, but these ships looked different. Their whole design matched Zephyrian military vessels from the war. Amy tried again to contact the unknown ships, but received only silence in return. Jake made a decision that would change everything. He ordered Rick to move the Liberty between the transport and the approaching ships. If they wanted to attack civilians, they would have to go through a human military vessel first. The Liberty accelerated toward the intercept point while Amy continued broadcasting warnings on all frequencies. The 3 ships opened fire without warning. Their weapons tore into the Peaceful Journey before Jake could react. The transport shields collapsed under the assault and explosions rippled along its hull. Families died in those first moments as the civilian ship broke apart under the alien attack. Jake watched in horror as escape pods launched from the dying vessel while the attackers continued firing. Rick returned fire with everything the Liberty had, but the alien ships were already moving away. They had accomplished their mission of destruction and murder. They vanished into hyperspace before Jake could pursue them, leaving behind only wreckage and the screams of survivors on the fires on the communication channels. Amy worked frantically to coordinate rescue operations while Jake surveyed the damage. The peaceful journey was gone along with most of its passengers. A few dozen escape pods drifted in space carrying the lucky ones who had reached safety in time. 2,000 innocent people had died in less than 10 minutes. Jake ordered Amy to record everything and transmit the data to Earth Command immediately. The sensor logs showed clear images of Zephyrian ships attacking a civilian transport in violation of every treaty signed since the armistice. The aliens had fired first, without provocation or warning. They had broken the truce that had kept peace for 15 years. As rescue ships arrived to collect the survivors, Jake knew that everything was about to change. The galaxy would soon remember why humans were feared during the old war. The aliens had made a terrible mistake by attacking first. They had forgotten what humans could do when someone threatened their families. The 15-year peace was over and humanity would respond in the only way they knew how. Admiral Lisa Carter received Jake Morrison's transmission at Terra Central Command while drinking her morning coffee. The images on her screen made her stomach turn, but her mind immediately shifted to military planning mode. She had been expecting something like this for months as alien patrol activity increased near the border zones. The attack on the peaceful journey was not random violence, but a calculated test of human resolve. Lisa activated the emergency protocols that had been in place since the armistice. Within minutes, red alerts echoed through every human military facility from Earth to the frontier colonies. 15 years of peace had not made humanity soft or unprepared. If anything, the long quiet had given them time to build something the aliens could never imagine. General Paul Wright arrived at the command center still wearing his dress uniform from a ceremony honoring war veterans. His weathered face showed no surprise at the news, only grim determination. Paul had fought in the original war and knew the aliens would not stop with one attack. They were testing human response time and commitment to defending civilian targets. Dr. Karen Lewis hurried into the briefing room carrying files marked with the highest security classifications. Her Advanced Weapons Division had spent 15 years developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of known science. The alien attack had just given her permission to reveal projects that could change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Lisa looked at the holographic display showing the attack site where rescue operations continued around the clock. 2,000 dead civilians, including entire families who had been traveling home for holidays and reunions. The aliens had chosen their target carefully, knowing that hitting a family transport would create maximum emotional impact on human decision makers. Paul activated the secure communication network linking every human military commander across known space. Fleet admirals and marine generals appeared as holograms around the conference table. These officers had maintained readiness during the peace years, knowing that war might return at any moment. Their forces had trained constantly using simulations and exercises that prepared them for exactly this scenario. Dr. Lewis began her presentation with calm scientific precision that masked the revolutionary nature of her revelations. Project Prometheus had placed automated defense platforms throughout human space during the past decade. These weapons could strike targets across multiple star systems simultaneously using quantum torpedo technology that made old nuclear weapons look like firecrackers. The platforms had been disguised as communication satellites and research stations, fooling alien intelligence services for years. Each platform contained enough firepower to destroy a battleship, and they could coordinate their attacks through an artificial intelligence network that responded faster than any biological mind could think. General Wright revealed Operation Silent Thunder, which had built a fleet of stealth ships capable of penetrating alien space without detection. The vessels used new hull materials that bent sensor waves around them, making them invisible to conventional scanning equipment. Captain Tony Blake commanded the stealth squadron from his flagship, waiting for orders to begin offensive operations. But the most significant development came from Dr. Marcus King and his Human Genetic Enhancement Program. The Enhanced Soldiers, nicknamed Terran Guards, represented the next step in human evolution. Their reflexes operated 3 times faster than baseline humans, while their intelligence had been boosted to genius levels. Cybernetic implants allowed them to share tactical information instantly and coordinate attacks with machine precision. Lisa studied the deployment options while her staff calculated response scenarios. The aliens expected humans to react defensively, as they had during the original war. They anticipated gradual escalation and negotiated settlements that would leave the current power structure intact. They did not understand that 15 years of peace had fundamentally changed human military capabilities. The enhanced soldiers had been training in secret facilities, disguised as research centers and corporate headquarters. Major Sam Brooks led the 1st Battalion of Terran Guards through combat simulations that recreated alien tactics and weapon systems. His troops moved with inhuman speed and coordination that would shock any enemy who encountered them in battle. Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez commanded the Special Operations Unit trained for deep penetration missions behind alien lines. Her team could infiltrate enemy installations and neutralize threats before conventional forces even knew they were there. The aliens had no defense against soldiers who combined human creativity with enhanced physical abilities and advanced technology. Lisa made the decision that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. She authorized immediate mobilization of all enhanced forces while maintaining the appearance of normal defensive preparations. The aliens would see what looked like predictable human responses while the real attack force prepared to strike at targets they never expected to be vulnerable. Dr. Lewis began activating the Prometheus network, sending coded signals to platforms scattered across dozens of star systems. The weapons came online silently and began acquiring target locks on alien military installations. Within hours, humanity would possess the ability to launch coordinated attacks on enemy forces throughout their own territory. Paul coordinated with fleet commanders to position regular forces for maximum defensive coverage, while the stealth ships moved into attack positions. The aliens would face threats from directions they had never considered possible. Human space would become a fortress while alien space became a hunting ground. Captain Blake received his orders to penetrate deep into Zephyrian territory and demonstrate that humanity was no longer content to fight defensively. His mission was simple but revolutionary in its implications. He would strike at the heart of alien military power, showing them that humans could reach any target they chose to destroy. Lisa stood before the strategic display, showing human and alien positions across the galaxy. 15 years ago, humanity had been fighting for survival against technologically superior enemies. Now they possessed weapons and soldiers that could reshape the balance of power permanently. The aliens had broken the truce first, but humanity would finish what they started. The galaxy was about to learn that giving humans 15 years to prepare for war had been the greatest strategic mistake in galactic history. Captain Tony Blake checked his instruments as the U's Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. 11 other stealth ships materialized around his flagship like ghosts emerging from the void. Their hulls remained invisible to alien sensors using technology that bent light and energy waves around specially designed armor plating. The Zephyrian military installation ahead had no idea that death was approaching. The target facility orbited KEPLER 442b, serving as a major command center for alien fleet operations in this sector. Intelligence reports indicated that over 50,000 Zephyrian military personnel worked inside the massive station, coordinating attacks and defense strategies across multiple star systems. Destroying this installation would blind alien forces throughout the region while demonstrating human capabilities that the enemy never suspected existed. Major Sam Brooks stood in the assault bay preparing his enhanced soldiers for their first combat mission. The Terran guards moved with fluid precision, checking weapons and equipment that had been designed specifically for fighting alien enemies. Their enhanced nervous systems processed information 3 times faster than normal humans, while their strengthened muscles could lift twice their own body weight without strain. Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez reviewed building layouts downloaded from human intelligence networks that had been mapping alien installations for years. Her special operations team would spearhead the ground assault, moving through the facility like deadly shadows. The aliens expected human soldiers to be slow and predictable, but these enhanced warriors would move faster than their enemies could react. Blake studied the tactical display showing defensive positions around the orbital station. Energy shields protected the installation from conventional attacks, while automated weapon platforms provided overlapping fields of fire. The aliens had built their defenses assuming that any human assault would come from predictable directions using known technology and tactics. They were about to discover how wrong those assumptions had become. The stealth squadron moved into attack formation using coordination that seemed almost telepathic. Each ship knew exactly where the others were positioned and what role they would play in the coming assault. Quantum torpedo tubes loaded with warheads that could punch through energy shields that had protected alien installations for centuries. Blake opened a communication channel to his squadron commanders. Captain Linda Garcia commanded the port wing, while Captain Frank Thompson led the starboard formation. Both officers had fought in the original war and understood the psychological impact that this mission would have on alien military thinking throughout the galaxy. At exactly 0300 Zephyrian Standard Time, Blake gave the order that would announce humanity's return to galactic warfare. 12 human ships dropped their stealth systems simultaneously and opened fire with concentrated volleys that overwhelmed every defensive system the aliens had installed. The orbital station's shields collapsed under quantum torpedo impacts. While its weapon platforms exploded in brilliant flashes, the first wave of destruction caught the Zephyrians completely unprepared. Alarm systems throughout the facility screamed warnings about human ships that had appeared from nowhere. Station personnel ran to battle stations while automated defenses tried desperately to target enemies that moved too fast and hit too hard. For conventional countermeasures, Major Brooks led the first assault wave in armored transports that punched through the station's weakened hull plating. The Terran guards poured into the facility, moving with inhuman speed and coordination. Their enhanced reflexes allowed them to process targeting information and return fire before alien defenders could complete their own attack sequences. The Zephyrians had prepared for human soldiers based on data from the old war, but these enhanced warriors moved like living weapons. Brooks directed his troops through the station's corridors using tactical information that flowed directly into their cybernetic implants. Each soldier knew exactly where their teammates were positioned and what threats lay ahead. Lieutenant Rodriguez led her special operations team toward the command center, where alien officers were trying to coordinate a defense of their installation. Her soldiers moved through ventilation shafts and maintenance tunnels that human intelligence had mapped years earlier. The aliens never saw them coming until it was too late to matter. Blake continued the space battle with surgical precision, targeting specific sections of the orbital station while avoiding areas where his ground teams were operating. The quantum torpedoes created explosions that tore through alien hull materials like paper, while electromagnetic pulses disabled their computer systems and communication networks. 3. Zephyrian battlecruisers attempted to launch from the station's docking bays, but Blake had anticipated this response. His squadron concentrated fire on the ships before they could clear the installation's defensive perimeter. The cruisers exploded in massive fireballs that lit up the space around the orbital facility. Rodriguez reached the command center and found alien officers huddled around tactical displays trying to understand what was happening to their supposedly secure installation. Her team moved with deadly efficiency, neutralizing targets before the aliens could transmit warnings to other facilities. The enhanced soldiers worked in perfect coordination, leaving no survivors who could report on human capabilities. Brooks coordinated the demolition of critical systems throughout the station while his troops planted explosive charges in key locations. The Terran Guards had trained for this mission using detailed models of alien installations built from intelligence gathered over years of careful observation. Every corridor and chamber had been studied until the enhanced soldiers knew the facility better than its own inhabitants. The entire assault lasted less than 6 hours from initial attack to final withdrawal. Blake's squadron destroyed the orbital station, along with its defensive fleet, while the ground teams eliminated every trace of alien personnel and equipment. The facility that had coordinated military operations across multiple star systems was reduced to expanding clouds of debris. As the human ships prepared to return to hyperspace, Blake transmitted a message that would reach every alien command center within days. The attack had been carried out in retaliation for the destruction of the peaceful journey and the murder of 2,000 innocent civilians. Humanity would no longer tolerate attacks on their people and would respond to future aggression with overwhelming force. The stealth squadron vanished back into hyperspace, leaving behind only wreckage and a growing realization among alien leaders that something fundamental had changed in the balance of galactic power. The humans were no longer the defensive species that had fought desperately for survival 15 years earlier. They had become something far more dangerous. Supreme War Leader Vextar stared at the tactical reports from the Kepler system with growing disbelief and rage. The humans had destroyed one of the most secure military installations in Zephyrian space using technology that should not have existed. Intelligence analysts struggled to explain how 12 human ships had penetrated deep into alien territory without detection and eliminated 50,000 trained soldiers in less than 6 hours. The reptilian commander's claws scraped against the metal surface of his command table as he studied sensor recordings from the attack. The human vessels had appeared from nowhere, suggesting stealth capabilities far beyond previous estimates. Their weapons had punched through energy shields that had never failed before, while their soldiers moved through the facility with impossible speed and coordination. Vextar activated the emergency communication network linking all Zephyrian military commanders throughout the galaxy. The holographic images of fleet admirals and system governors materialized around his war room, each showing the same combination of shock and fear. The humans had demonstrated capabilities that challenged everything the aliens thought they knew about their former enemies. General Kethfer of the Crethary Alliance reported similar concerns from his species' intelligence services. The humans had been monitored constantly during the 15-year truce, but they had somehow developed revolutionary technologies without detection. The attack on Kepler 442b suggested that humanity possessed military resources that could threaten any target in alien space. Commander Zethra of the Nexari Federation added her own disturbing observations about human activities near their border regions. Sensor networks had detected unusual energy signatures that disappeared whenever investigation ships arrived. It seemed that human vessels were operating throughout alien territory, Using some form of advanced cloaking technology, Vextar made the decision that would lead to catastrophe for the alien coalition. Rather than seeking diplomatic solutions or attempting to understand the scope of human military development, he ordered immediate retaliation against 5 major human colonies. The massive fleet he assembled included ships from every member species of the Alliance, representing the largest alien military force since the original war. Admiral Frank Thompson received warning of the approaching alien armada from human intelligence networks that had been watching enemy fleet movements for years. His defensive formations were already in position around the target colonies using deployment patterns that had been planned and practiced during the long peace. The aliens expected to find scattered human forces that could be overwhelmed through superior numbers. Instead, they encountered carefully prepared killing zones where every ship and weapon platform had been positioned for maximum effectiveness. Thompson's tactics relied on the quantum torpedo technology that could concentrate firepower from multiple sources on specific targets. The human ships appeared outnumbered, but their weapons hit harder and faster than anything the aliens had faced before. The battle at New Houston became the first major fleet engagement since the armistice ended. Captain Linda Garcia led her cruiser squadron against a Zephyrian battle group that included 30 heavy warships and supporting vessels. Her 12 ships used gravitational manipulation technology to create artificial gravity wells that disrupted alien formations and pulled their ships into concentrated fire zones. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that had evolved far beyond their understanding. Human vessels moved with coordinated precision that seemed impossible for biological crews to achieve. Their weapons created explosions that tore through alien HULL armor, while their defensive systems deflected attacks that should have destroyed them completely. Garcia's quantum torpedoes fired in perfect synchronization, creating massive energy bursts that overwhelmed alien shields through concentrated impact rather than individual ship firepower. The Zephyrian commanders watched in horror as their supposedly superior vessels exploded under human attacks that came from directions they had not expected and intensities they could not match. Dr. Curran Lewis activated Project Prometheus as alien fleets approached multiple human colonies simultaneously. The automated defense platforms that had been disguised as civilian installations for over a decade revealed their true nature. Thousands of hidden weapon systems came online throughout human space, creating an integrated defensive network that could target enemy ships across vast distances. The alien assault forces suddenly found themselves under attack from directions they had never considered. Space stations that appeared to be research facilities or communication relays opened fire with quantum torpedo batteries. Asteroid mining operations revealed themselves as heavily armed fortresses. Even civilian cargo vessels transformed into missile platforms that launched devastating attacks against the approaching fleets. Supreme War Leader Vextar watched his carefully planned offensive collapse into chaos, as human defenses proved far more extensive and deadly than intelligence reports had suggested. Fleet after fleet reported massive casualties as they encountered weapons that seemed to anticipate their movements and counter their tactics before they could be implemented. The Crathery battle group, attacking the New Texas colony, lost 2/3 of its ships in the first hour of combat. General Kethvar transmitted desperate requests for reinforcement while his surviving vessels tried to withdraw from engagement zones that had become death traps. The humans were not fighting defensively but were actively hunting alien ships throughout the battle area. Commander Zithras' Nexari forces faced similar devastation at the New California colony, where human defenders used quantum torpedo mines that had been placed throughout the system during the peace years. The invisible weapons activated as alien ships approached, creating explosions that destroyed entire squadrons before they could identify the source of the attacks. The psychological impact on alien forces proved as devastating as the physical. Destruction. Ships that had survived the initial attacks reported that human vessels seemed to appear from empty space, while their own sensors detected nothing until weapons fire began. The aliens were fighting an enemy that could strike from anywhere while remaining invisible to conventional detection systems. Of the 200 ships that had launched the coordinated assault on human colonies, fewer than 30 survived to report their defeat. The alien coalition had lost more vessels in one day than during the entire final year of the original war. Vextar realized that humanity had used the 15-year truce not to recover from the previous conflict, but to prepare for the next one. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as news of the human victories spread throughout civilized space. Neutral species that had maintained careful balance between human and alien interests began reconsidering their positions. The humans were no longer a minor power that could be ignored or dismissed, but had become something that challenged the fundamental order of galactic civilization. Vextar stared at the casualty reports while his staff calculated the implications of their defeats. The humans had not simply defended their colonies, but had demonstrated military capabilities that could threaten any target in alien space. The 15-year peace had given them time to become the most dangerous species in the galaxy. News of the alien defeats spread throughout the galaxy faster than hyperspace communication networks could carry the official reports. Species that had remained neutral during the renewed conflict began sending secret diplomatic messages to human representatives. The balance of power that had maintained galactic stability for centuries was shifting as everyone realized that humanity had become something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. General Paul Wright stood before the massive holographic display at Terra Central Command, watching manufacturing facilities across human space reveal their true capabilities. Shipyards that had appeared to be building civilian vessels for 15 years suddenly began producing military hardware at rates that defied conventional industrial capacity. The aliens had been watching human space during the peace years, but they had been seeing only what humanity wanted them to see. Automated construction systems that had been disguised as asteroid mining operations now assembled warships, using techniques that reduced build times from years to weeks. Dr. Karen Lewis had spent the peace years developing manufacturing processes that could adapt to changing requirements while maintaining production rates that would have been impossible using traditional methods. The Enhanced Soldier program expanded rapidly as Dr. Marcus King activated training facilities that had been hidden throughout human territory. Major Sam Brooks found himself commanding not just one battalion of Terran guards, but entire divisions of enhanced warriors who moved with inhuman coordination and fought with capabilities that terrified alien forces who encountered them. Captain Tony Blake's stealth fleet struck again, targeting Crathery's supply lines that supported alien military operations throughout their sector. His ships appeared without warning at logistics centers and fuel depots, destroying months of accumulated resources in minutes before vanishing back into hyperspace. The aliens could not defend what they could not see coming. The psychological warfare proved as effective as the physical attacks. Alien military personnel began experiencing what their medical officers termed human syndrome, which manifested as paralyzing fear whenever engagement with human forces seemed likely. Reports described human ships that moved like predators, stalking prey while their crews demonstrated tactical awareness that seemed almost supernatural. Lieutenant Nina Rodriguez led special operations missions deep into alien territory where her enhanced soldiers gathered intelligence while eliminating key personnel and destroying critical infrastructure. The aliens never knew when or where these attacks would come because the human operatives moved through their security systems like they did not exist. Admiral Lisa Carter reviewed intelligence reports that showed the true scope of human preparation. During the supposed peace years, every alien military installation had been mapped and analyzed, while human agents had infiltrated their command structures at levels that provided real-time information about enemy plans and capabilities. The aliens had been fighting a war they did not know had already begun. The most shocking revelation came from Dr. Lewis and her Advanced Weapons Division, which had been studying captured alien technology for the entire 15-year period. Human scientists had not simply copied alien innovations, but had improved upon them in ways that their original creators could never have imagined. Every alien advantage had been analyzed, understood, and countered through human ingenuity and determination. Captain Linda Garcia commanded a new class of warship that incorporated the best alien technologies enhanced through human engineering and manufacturing techniques. Her vessel could outmaneuver Zephyrian cruisers while delivering firepower that exceeded anything the aliens had ever developed. The quantum torpedo systems alone represented a quantum leap beyond conventional weapons technology. The alien fleets found themselves fighting enemies who seemed to know their tactics before they implemented them. Human forces anticipated alien movements and countered their strategies with responses that appeared to be planned months in advance. The truth was that human intelligence services had been studying alien military doctrine for years and had developed countermeasures for every known tactic. Supreme War Leader Vextar attempted to coordinate a unified response from all allied species, but found that panic was spreading through alien command structures faster than he could control. Fleet commanders reported that human forces were operating throughout alien space, striking targets that should have been impossible to reach while avoiding defensive measures that should have stopped any invasion. Nexari Federation withdrew 3 complete battle fleets from forward positions after losing most of their patrol vessels to human stealth attacks. Commander Zithra informed the Alliance that her forces could no longer guarantee the security of their own territory, much less support offensive operations against human colonies. General Kethfer of the Kretheri Alliance faced similar problems as human special operations teams destroyed supply depots and communication centers throughout his species' military infrastructure. The enhanced soldiers moved through alien facilities like they had detailed plans of every building and knew the location of every defensive system. Captain Blake's squadron demonstrated human capabilities by penetrating the most heavily defended system in Zephyrian space and destroying a fleet construction facility that had been building ships for over 50 years. The aliens watched helplessly as their industrial capacity was systematically eliminated by enemies. They could not detect until the attacks were already underway. The economic impact of the war began affecting civilian populations throughout alien space as military forces consumed resources at unsustainable rates while losing battles at every level of engagement. Neutral species that had traded with the alien coalition started demanding payment in advance, while shipping companies refused to enter systems where human forces might be operating. Lewis revealed that Project Prometheus included manufacturing capabilities that could produce weapons and equipment at any location where human forces were operating. The automated systems could adapt to local conditions and requirements while maintaining production standards that exceeded anything achieved during peacetime operations. Admiral Frank Thompson coordinated defensive operations that had evolved into offensive campaigns as human forces pushed deeper into alien territory. The original plan had been to protect human colonies, but the overwhelming success of human military technology made it possible to consider objectives that had seemed impossible. Just months earlier, the galaxy faced a new reality where humanity was no longer a species that could be contained or controlled through traditional diplomatic and military pressure. They had demonstrated the ability to strike any target they chose while defending their own territory with systems that made invasion impossible for any conventional force. Vextar stared at the strategic displays showing human forces operating throughout what had been secure alien space just weeks earlier. The 15-year truce had not weakened humanity but had given them time to develop capabilities that made them the dominant military power in the galaxy. The aliens had broken the peace expecting to fight the same humans they remembered from the old war, but instead they faced an evolved species that had used every moment of peace to prepare for this conflict. Supreme War Leader Vextar made his final desperate decision as reports of defeat arrived from every front of the war that was destroying his civilization. The massive fleet he assembled represented the combined military might of every species in the alien coalition, including ships that had never been used in combat and crew members who had never seen battle. Over 1,000 vessels gathered at the staging area for what everyone understood would be the last major offensive the aliens could mount. The target was Earth itself, because Vextar believed that destroying humanity's homeworld would end their expansion regardless of their technological advantages. Intelligence reports suggested that Earth was defended by perhaps 100 human warships based on pre-war estimates that had proven catastrophically wrong about every other aspect of human military capabilities. Admiral Lisa Carter watched the alien armada approach through sensor networks that had been monitoring their movements since the fleet began assembling weeks earlier. The massive force represented exactly the kind of target that human defensive systems had been designed to destroy. Every ship in the alien fleet had been identified and analyzed, while targeting solutions were calculated for weapon systems the enemy did not know existed. Earth orbit contained over 500 human warships supported by thousands of automated defense platforms and mobile weapon systems that could engage targets across multiple star systems simultaneously. The quantum torpedo batteries alone outnumbered the total armament carried by the approaching alien fleet, while gravitational manipulation systems could create weapon effects that no alien technology could counter. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the massive dreadnought UES Retribution, which mounted more firepower than entire alien battle groups. His vessel represented the pinnacle of human military engineering, incorporating every technological advance that had been developed during the 15-year peace. The ship could engage multiple enemy fleets while coordinating attacks with other human forces across vast distances. Admiral Frank Thompson positioned his tactical formations using deployment patterns that would channel the alien assault into predetermined killing zones. The humans did not plan to simply defend Earth but intended to destroy the alien coalition so completely that no future threat would be possible. The battle would demonstrate human capabilities on a scale that would shock the galaxy into permanent submission. Major Sam Brooks prepared his enhanced Terran guards for boarding operations that would capture alien command ships and eliminate enemy leadership during the height of the battle. The enhanced soldiers had trained for this mission using detailed intelligence about alien vessel layouts and command structures, gathered through years of careful observation and infiltration. The Battle of Earth began when the alien armada dropped out of hyperspace, expecting to find a lightly defended world protected by outdated human technology. Instead, they encountered Admiral Carter's complete defensive network, which had been designed specifically for this moment. The first wave of quantum torpedo strikes eliminated over 100 alien ships before their crews could react to the unexpected firepower. Vextar watched his carefully planned assault collapse into chaos as human weapons created destruction on a scale that defied everything his species understood about space combat. Ships that had survived decades of previous conflicts exploded under attacks that seemed to come from every direction simultaneously. While his tactical displays showed human forces that outnumbered his own fleet, Captain Linda Garcia led aggressive fleet maneuvers that demonstrated the tactical coordination human forces had achieved through enhanced crew capabilities and artificial intelligence systems. Her squadron moved through the alien formation like predators hunting wounded prey, while quantum torpedoes created explosions that destroyed multiple enemy vessels with each successful strike. The alien fleet commanders discovered that human forces could share tactical information instantaneously across the entire battle area while coordinating attacks that seemed impossible for biological crews to execute. Every human ship knew the position and status of every other friendly vessel while targeting enemy weak points with precision that eliminated wasted firepower. Dr. Karen Lewis activated the full Prometheus network as the battle reached maximum intensity. Automated defense platforms throughout the solar system opened fire with concentrated barrages that created energy effects visible from the surface of Earth. The aliens found themselves trapped in a sphere of destruction that eliminated escape routes while systematically destroying their remaining ships. The psychological impact on surviving alien crews proved as devastating as the physical destruction of their fleets. They were fighting enemies who moved with inhuman coordination while demonstrating technological capabilities that seemed almost magical in their effectiveness. Human forces anticipated alien tactics and countered their strategies before they could be implemented. Supreme War Leader Vextar made his final transmission as captain. Morrison's dreadnought approached his flagship through the wreckage of what had once been the most powerful fleet in galactic history. The Zephyrian commander acknowledged that humanity had become something beyond his species' ability to comprehend or defeat through conventional military action. The battle lasted 18 hours and ended with the complete destruction of the alien armada. Fewer than 50 ships escaped the slaughter to carry news of the defeat back to their home systems. The alien coalition had lost more military capability in one engagement than during the entire original war, while humanity demonstrated that Earth was protected by defenses that could destroy any conceivable threat. Admiral Carter stood on the observation deck of Terra Station watching diplomatic vessels from neutral species arrive to request immediate audience with human representatives. The galaxy had witnessed the birth of a new dominant power that possessed both the capability and willingness to reshape galactic civilization according to human values and interests. The peace negotiations began within days as surviving alien leaders realized that continued resistance would result in the complete destruction of their civilizations. Admiral Carter's terms were simple but revolutionary in their implications. Humanity would assume primary responsibility for galactic security, while alien species would accept subordinate positions in the new political order. Captain Morrison reviewed casualty reports that showed minimal human losses compared to the complete destruction of enemy forces. The 15-year truce had given humanity time to develop capabilities that made them virtually invincible in conventional warfare, while their enemies had remained essentially unchanged since the original conflict. The treaty signed aboard Terra Station established humanity as the dominant species in the galaxy with authority over military operations, trade regulations, and territorial expansion. The aliens would pay reparations for the civilian deaths that had started the war while accepting permanent restrictions on their own military capabilities. Admiral Carter reflected on the transformation that had occurred since the attack on the T's peaceful journey just months earlier. Humanity had evolved from a defensive species fighting for survival into the unquestioned masters of galactic civilization. The aliens had broken the truce expecting to fight the same humans they remembered from the old war, but instead they had awakened something far more dangerous. The galaxy would remember this lesson for generations to come. Humanity possessed patience, adaptability, and ruthless determination that made them the ultimate survivors in a universe full of hostile species. They did not simply fight wars, but evolved through them, becoming stronger and more dangerous with each conflict they faced. The 15-year peace had ended with humanity conquering the galaxy.